Hello, do you hear me? Yeah, I was afraid you were gonna hear me. So, thank you for coming. Compliance Center, what is it? We don't know. There is so much ambiguity in the term. You can imagine something what it could be, what it could be doing, but there is still ambiguity. So. When I submitted this talk, I was thinking, okay, I'll show project SCAPtimony, what it does, and what the development decisions I have made during development. But then I found out it will be much better if we can agree together what the Compliance Center is and what it can be in future. So first of all, I'll show you or tell you what current tools we have for compliance in open source world. Then what might be the requirements for centralizing the compliance because currently we are quite good in ensuring compliance on the endpoints, but we are not able to ensure or tell anything about compliance on whole infrastructure. And then I'll go to the details of SCAPtimony project, and then there will be like dozen of screenshot of SCAPtimony within Foreman project. So what we have now in open source world, we have these three main cool super project, and we have this acronym SCAP. You probably all know what the SCAP is. It's Security Content Automation Protocol, and that says it all. It's a government standard for describing security checklists, and it helps you to assess configuration, vulnerabilities, and software installed on your system. So OpenSCAP is then an open source implementation of this standard, and the standard has multiple substandards. And OpenSCAP project itself contains lib OpenSCAP, which is C library implementing really dozens, if not hundreds, of objects in a SCAP from SCAP standard. And then there is a SCAP tool. It's quite widely used. This tool, it's in dozens of Linux distributions. It's quite really common in this solar system, if not beyond. Then there is a SCAP security guide, which is content for the scanner, for the tool. It's a bunch of XML files developed in an open source way, and so it gives you some guidance how you can harden and secure your systems. There are policies for RHEL 6, 7, and derivatives, and something for Fedora, and also for applications, JBoss, Fuse, and more. And then there is SCAP Workbench. It's a graphical user interface on top of OpenSCAP, and it helps you to tailor the policy you get from upstream to your specific needs. And then we did also integration with Anaconda, so you are able to ensure compliance during installation before the first boot of the system, which is important for some of the military folks. And then there is integration with Spacewalk or Satellite 5, if you will, that helps you to scan whole infrastructure. And we will expand on this. So we are quite strong on the endpoints. But what's the next level? Yeah. So there are these guys with really deep pockets, and they wrote a lot of standards and requirements. And I'll try to translate to to my bad French. Okay, so first of the requirement or type of requirement is inventory. We want compliance center to inventory hardware, software, and configuration. Hardware is easy. Everything has some UID, and you just aggregate everything, store it, and you have it. Software might be quite harder because, for example, you have on your system you have multiple applications that are linked to OpenSSL, for example, and on your Android or Windows machine, you have probably many times bundled the OpenSSL library. So the inventory might have multiple purposes. It might be for ensuring that there is no known vulnerability in the software installed. It might be so then you need all the applications that bundle OpenSSL. Then the other use case might be for compliance with licenses, because you buy certain amounts of software and you never know how many installations do you have. And yeah, and then there is configuration, which is basically the SCAP domain we are currently, I would say, strong in. So there are certain parts of configuration that are security related, and you are the compliance officers and the security folks are interested what the settings are on the endpoints of these configuration settings. So we have inventory. Then the organization probably has some policies, and it would be useless to just enable using some generic policy. We need to have compliance center flexible enough to allow different policies to be applied to different systems, and actually many policies to be applied to a system. So they call it organization-defined targeting. And if the compliance center is really good and does the job, it will know something about the purpose of the system and tailor the policy for it semi-automatically. And then there is ad hoc tailoring. For example, you know that this weird DB server needs to have this security setting enabled in a way that is not compliant, but you are okay with this. So now queries. What are the queries you can ask the compliance center? There are really dozens of types of queries, but what's important is try to think as a software engineer, what data do you need to have centralized to be able to answer these questions. And then the output of compliance center needs to be in some standardized form, because infrastructure and deployments are very heterogeneous, and chances are that one compliance center will not be enough, and the compliance center will probably need to export the data or some of the data to Splunk or something, or some other proprietary compliance thing. So we need some API for import and export. Import because, on the other hand, the compliance center we built in open source might be the one which will take in the data. Then retention policies. If you have reports, you probably want to store them for some time, and you don't want to care about, okay, it's January, I can delete the old ones or something like that. And then there is another problem. the data you collect should be somehow trusted. Of course, endpoints will be lying, can be lying, but it should not be easy for endpoint to lie. And this is probably the most important slide, because good compliance center will improve manageability of your infrastructure. It will, currently, a lot of organizations are doing compliance audits like on quarterly basis or maybe monthly basis, but they would like to because it's a hard. There is a lot of manual steps in a way, and they would like to be more agile and maybe have results each week or each day. And then if you have large deployment of thousands or hundreds of thousands machines, you have multiple people taking care of the compliance. And then you need to have a way to task these people. Tell them what's the next thing to do after coffee, and how ensure that these people are not taking the same task in a way. So this probably can be also built in a compliance center. Then the good compliance center will help organization with best practices, because we have tools for this, right? And my favorite is threat lifecycle. I have learned that when organization it identifies a threat, and it can be really anything, like, okay, there is this OpenSSL. I like OpenSSL. So there is this OpenSSL bug. Let's handle it as a case, and let's see how long does it take for us, and who works on this threat, and what missteps had we took during handling this threat. Then waivers. Waiver is, for example, if you have compliance report from your machine, and you know that this is completely okay that this machine is not compliant with these 2 or 3 rules, and you want to tell the system that this is okay, or maybe you want that you need to fix these three rules, but you don't have a time frame, and you need to handle the rest. So you may want to define waiver for some period of time, and then waiver will expire, and then it's very hard to keep the whole infrastructure compliant, but you may want to calculate the accepted risk and authorize it by some official. So this is like really super top level, high level feature we can build to the compliance center. Then, yeah. Any questions so far? Good. So, yeah, any compliance center in this century has to have a cloud sticker on it, right? It may not mean anything for developing the compliance center, but the sticker is important. So the compliance center should work well with on-premise data centers and cloud. Containers is probably an asset too. Like we have regular asset we know, like servers. Container may be considered asset, maybe it's application. We don't know. Sometimes it's asset, sometimes it's application or some piece of software. We need this API, yeah, and now DevOps kind of like Ruby and maybe Go, but Foreman and ManageIQ, two big system management pieces are written in Ruby. So maybe if we start with the Ruby, we can be adopted easily than just writing something in a C and have a microservice with REST. It might not be the best way. So I started with Ruby. Implications. So we have learned that deployments will vary, use cases will vary, or the requirements I told you, it's not like one organization will have all of these. And the infrastructure will and deployments will vary. There will be some hybrid cloud, some on-premise data center, different networkings, different system management tools in place. But the questions compliance officer asks will be always the very same. So the data will probably fit the same model, and I think it's the data we will get from infrastructure are structured. Yeah, and interface for compliance center is mostly read-only. You will define some waivers, some policies, but the interface is mostly read-only. It just collects the data and does not let you or necessarily to manage configuration. Okay. So I haven't found anything in open source world to have these features, or at least some of them. So I was like thinking, okay, it's a good time to start new project. So I call it. So far I call it SCAPtimony. First thought were like, okay, we are strong with this OpenSCAP ecosystem. Let's leverage it up to the point we can. So that means we will, for start, we will focus on configuration compliance, and then we will create some database schema on top of OpenSCAP objects. So you will have some transition between these SCAP XML files and database objects, because it will be much easier to query the database. And maybe the basic operations on the data will be the same, like, okay, tell me all the assets that has for this policy, the last report is failing for this policy. Tell me all the assets. So some SQL queries, we can write it, and we don't care if SCAPtimony is some microservice or if it's plugged into something, or we don't need to care about this. We are just playing with SQL. So main database entities would be some notion of asset. So the asset is one of the entities, and it can be really host or container or even set of hosts, because you might want to model it like set of hosts has policy assigned, and I don't want to assign the policy to each of the hosts. And then policies, which is really something very generic. It's a some policy which needs to be applied, and then there are reports that are coming from assets. So asset can have many policies. Policies has many assets, and reports come for one policy and one asset. Okay, so then SCAPtimony is currently Rails engine, and it's mostly models and helpers. If you know Rails, who does not know Rails? Okay. So that's Emma. Cool kids know it. Sorry. Maybe just writing a simple app. It's MVC, and like all the other frameworks, it maybe get some traction because it started to standardize certain things. So like active records was really cool when it was like first introduced. And the reason I took Rails, I started this like in September, and I didn't know Ruby or Rails or anything, but I have seen the Foreman and ManageIQ written in a Ruby. So what the other option I had? So then there is RubyGem OpenSCAP, which is FFE binding on top of libopenSCAP. libopenSCAP is the part of OpenSCAP I showed you on the white slide. And we have made a lot of improvements in OpenSCAP to actually facilitate simple use of OpenSCAP entities in database. So it was like 6 weeks spent on libopenSCAP to actually build something efficient and then create bindings of RubyGem OpenSCAP. And then all the project I'm talking about are located on GitHub because it's kind of cool nowadays. Yeah, and the first application of SCAPtimony is a plugin to Foreman. And I wanted to create SCAPtimony really agnostic to application, because you can then reuse it, maybe create API for and have it as a separate microservice, and other pieces will talk to it. But in the case of Foreman, I made the decision to be a Rails engine because there are certain frameworks like scope search in Rails, which works which does not work with something which is served over API to the Rails stack. So now the compliance entities are in a Foreman database, and SCAPtimony is a part of the stack. Yeah. And then there is a Foreman OpenSCAP package, which binds the Foreman entities and SCAPtimony entities together. So it's full of concerns. Concern is a Rails term which enables monkey patching. Basically, you take one object from existing library, you change some methods, and you take another, and that way you can bind two different stacks together. So it's full of glue, and it's not nice, but Rails people like it. Yeah, and then there is scope search. So there will be like dozens of slides. I hope you can see it, because it will be really pity for you if you cannot see it. So, pardon? I'm afraid not. But you can join me here and come closer, or I can demo it. But I'm not that brave. So this is Foreman interface. You have seen it already in other talks today. It's a system management tool, mainly front end for Puppet, and yeah. So Foreman OpenSCAP plugin basically creates these three new pages, and yeah, that's I would.
You could try the key control and the plus letter. It will increase the font size.
It's a screenshot, you know.
Oh, yeah.
So okay, I can try to demo it, but then we will see. So in a dashboard, I already have some compliance dashboard things. I don't know, and currently we can see one report, and there is a breakdown of one report, so it's not really that cool if there is only one. Yeah, so let's see. Let's go to the reports page. We will see the very same report again, and we see that something has passed. That's good. Something is not that good, and yeah, so we perhaps want to delete it because it says it's not compliant. It's and you know, bosses don't like it. So if we click view report, what happens? It takes some time. It's because the report is big and it's stored. It's a huge XML file. It's zipped and it's stored as a blob in database. And what actually happens in one lib OpenSCAP, so we pull it from the database, we pass it down to the lib OpenSCAP. Lib OpenSCAP applies some validations, parses to XML DOM, or parses to XML DOM, then applies validations, then applies XSLT, which creates the HTML report. HTML report is then returned to RubyGem OpenSCAP and to SCAPtimony and to Foreman OpenSCAP. So that's fun. We have some evaluation report, yeah, some generic information. We have some information about the asset itself. There is some scoring. SCAP standard actually defines what needs to be, what the scoring is and how it should behave. So, yeah. Then there is this super cool feature. Actually, Martin wrote this report, and you can now filter each type of rule or rule result. So these are possible SCAP results, and in SCAP standards defines what each of them means. But perhaps we just want to see passes, right? It's all green. You see? Okay, so what the failure looks like. Maybe GPG check, yeah, that's nice. So there is a rule in a policy which says that there must now be a repository configured on a system that has GPG check disabled. So we have some ID of that rule and the result, time of the scan, severity if it fails, how severe this is considered, and some identifiers that help government officials to classify the stuff. And we have details. So I have these without GPG, and it's because they are not signed. So I wish there was a waiver button. Not yet. Okay, so that's the report. But the very first step you will do when you install Foreman OpenSCAP to your Foreman is to upload new SCAP content, or in particular data stream. Data stream file is a huge XML file that contains all the possible SCAP subcomponent standards. So the whole policy fits into one file. Oh, only 10 minutes. So we uploaded this file or the other one from SCAP security guide, and now we define a policy. Okay. So still you can still see it. Okay. So we choose rel 6. Yeah. what about United States government configuration baseline? There is a possible custom schedule, and you just wrote any cron line you want, and we offer weekly and monthly as the same defaults. So maybe on a Monday. Let's see. And Foreman has a concept of locations, organizations, so you can select really the policy that applies only to the location or organization. I don't care. And then there is host groups. So I picked the only host group I have, and hopefully it did not crash. Good. And now there is the new policy, and I can see the guide, which basically said what needs to be done in order to make the machines compliant with the policy. Yeah. So good things sometimes take time. So there is a guide. It's very similar to the report, but there are no results, and maybe some other subtle differences. So we have seen policies. We have seen SCAP content as a prerequisite of the policy. SCAP content is then assigned to the policy, and then reports. And policy also has a dashboard. So far we can see some breakdown of all the hosts that have the policy assigned, and last few reports on this page. And these links are clickable, so you can see actually what the hosts are not compliant if you want. Okay. So we have seen a lot of things. Yeah, so this is actually what happens first time you do this. When you assign policy in a Foreman, the ENC, which is communicated to Foreman proxy, lists the policy and the file. And next Puppet report, Puppet run, will show that Foreman SCAP client package is installed, and the configuration file for the policy is also in place. Currently, there is still problem of distributing the SCAP content to the clients. So you can upload it to the web interface, but we are still not able to distribute it using the Foreman. Foreman actually does not yet have the way to distribute files to the clients. So it's going to be some future work. We have seen this, and this, and this. So summary. So far, no questions. It's good. It's good. Please, Cliff. Yeah, that's probably the best way to do it. But when you plug catalog to Foreman, it's very hard to do it automatically by Foreman itself, because you can have defined content views, which will constrain. So we really need user feedback or input to tell how to distribute the RPM. So we are currently not building it. Maybe, yeah?
So what you're saying is that there's assumptions made on the Foreman side that you're relying on the content view on the Trello side and you're delivering something that may not be there?
Not yet. It's really up to product managers to decide if Foreman will one day have ability to distribute content or to run commands. It would really help if there was ability to run commands on the client. Yeah, okay. So we have seen what we have now in open source world regarding compliance. We have seen some requirements. Maybe we agreed because you didn't stand up and speak up what the compliance center might be. And we have seen some little shy projects started to approach these requirements, and we have seen some screenshots of the project within Foreman. Yeah, and you still have no questions.
You mentioned SCAP workbench can load content, tailor it, so like changing password lengths or something.
Mm-hmm.
Will that be possible through SCAPtimony as well? So like you hit file load and you uploaded it, but what if I want to tailor it?
It would be highly beneficial, wouldn't it? Yeah. So it would be highly beneficial. We can agree on it. We first need to have things settled and have some base ring of features done, and we will see if there is a demand for this. I think it would be beneficial. Yes, please.
Have you got the feature, or are you considering the feature to basically email reports as they've been created?
Yeah.
Actually, we want the reports either be used as a form or spacewalk.
Yeah. Actually, on SCAPtimony project page, there are some features covered and planned features, and mailing owners of the system is one of them.
That's great.
Yeah. So maybe I didn't tell it, but also, yeah. So there is a missing piece on this very important slide. It would be highly beneficial if Compliance Center can tell something about trends in my infrastructure. So the ability to send emails is somehow connected to the trending.
So some of the content has remediation, like using the password length, it'll update PAM or something.
Mm-hmm.
Can you execute the remediation capabilities from the content through SCAP?
Not yet. There is no technical reason why we shouldn't be able to it. But the problem is that Foreman is mainly a Puppet kind of thing, and Puppet already manages configuration for you. So if there is some misconfiguration, you may need to be alerted and take a look yourself to ensure that your applied remediation will not be reverted next time the Puppet runs. So, and Puppet folks are really scared about having another configuration management thing. So I'll be not pushing on remediation capabilities yet. But once the Foreman has scheduled some comment feature, it will be very easy to run the remediation.
You've mentioned the phase that when we can do compliance when the system is installed.
Uh-huh.
Would it be possible to generate a piece of Kickstart that would make the content and the profile and whatever you use for a new machine?
Yeah, I would happily accept your patches. Yeah. Yeah.
Learn Ruby.
Yeah. It's very easy. Everybody can do it.
There are some Kickstarts posted to the...
Yes. Yeah. Please.
You have mentioned that SCAPtimony will support worksheet hosts, so containers and set of containers equally. Is it possible to schedule the checks on the containers and set of hosts via Foreman today?
So currently there is a new plugin for Foreman called Foreman Docker, and it brings Docker containers and pieces to Foreman. I just know about it, so I tried to make sure that any decision I make during development will not close the doors to Docker, but there is nothing yet for Docker in SCAPtimony. Okay, out of time, so thank you. PTF, já to potřebuji vidět. Já si to nezapnu to obrazovku. A ne, počkej, ono si to jsou KDčka. Zvládne. Good.
Super. Schopný nám to prezentaci.
Jo. Jo, já ti ho pošlu třeba, já ti ho hnedka ti tam dám. OK. Nebo až...
Dobře.
Dej mě chviličku. Jo, já budu sedět tady. Wow. OK.